It is thermal imaging. So you guys should be able to see me in there, right? So I'm red, orange, and yellow. For my bachelorette parties, that's normally I'm the hottest thing in the video, but I still got two ladies. We'll play with it. Of course,
I'm married at the moment.
I'm actually going to flip you guys this way, just so that we're not getting blinded by cars and all of that. So
you mean like this?
Yeah, perfect. Now I feel like I got my big group of 10.
Okay.
So.
You have no idea. There's 5 here and 5 there.
Oh,
so, yeah.
okay. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what names I have to remember.
There could be 50 people standing behind us right now.
No, not right now.
You see one?
No, nothing.
Red and orange?
Yeah, all red and orange. But the blue and black is what we're looking for in this guy. So those are the colder spots. This is going to record audio and video, so it's kind of another point of audio for any kind of EVPs. But we're literally looking for those blue and black spots to move on their own. So there are going to be blue and black spots in there. And we're going to try to keep somebody in view. With a smaller group like this, it can be difficult at times. But what happens is when somebody leaves the video, the red, orange, and yellow goes somewhere else. Because of our skin temperature is the warmest thing out here.
Okay.
So
and as it gets closer, you see the orange coming
Right,
back.
exactly. Yeah. So again, it's an interesting tool. Does it capture something every night? It does not. I'm not going to even lie, but we won't capture anything unless we're recording. So again, I probably get a good 12 to 14 solid pieces that are not questionable, meaning it is definitely activity. So again, I'm always looking to have this guy running, not to mention it gives you guys a lot of data back. So even we're going to do some start and stops with this. As great as the hardware is, the software for this is horrible. If we record for too long, we're probably going to lose what we already recorded. Yeah, so it does kind of, and I've had trouble with this probably for the past 3 or 4 months. I even updated the camera to kind of, try to fix that problem, and FLIR just says, oh, we don't know what's going on with your stuff. Like, no, this is, whatever. But the other thing too, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little blue dot jumping around there. It should be on the car window right now because that's the coldest thing. It's always going to show you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular second. I also left the center crosshairs on there on purpose, so that way in the event we need to measure something specific, we just have to move the camera to kind of verify what's going on over there. So again, that's why I leave those. I could put the hottest point on there, but for ghost hunting, it's irrelevant. We don't need it. So with that said, you're gonna be the one carrying this. You're gonna keep this camera on your left, so you're gonna be holding it like this. Even when I do start and stops, you want to make sure the camera's on your left. This goes to YouTube, then back to my website, so all of your data's in one spot. YouTube does not like the flippies, so you'll have an upside down video, and then you'll be the one to blame.
Okay, and I'm left-handed, so that's easy.
Sorry, that was my wife texting. Are you familiar with Princess Bride?
That sounds crazy.
Do you know the movie The Princess Bride?
Yes.
It's when the witch comes out yelling at Billy Crystal and says, I'm not a witch, I'm your wife. And even funnier, we named our Wi-Fi, I'm not a witch, I'm your Wi-Fi.
Oh my God, that's pretty cool.
But,
so I hold it like this away from me?
No, you want to watch it.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, but it has to stay on my left side.
Yeah, you just want to keep it on your left side. Whatever's comfortable for you. I mean, it's a cell phone. There is a battery pack on the back keeping the camera charged. That's why it's a little heavier than normal. But, I mean, otherwise, it's a construction phone. You can't hurt it. So it's even got an extra casing around it. So you don't have to be super fragile with it. Just be mindful it does have buttons on the side. Oh. On these here. So it does have the power and volume and all that stuff.
Should I hold it like this? Or
nope, then your finger's going to be covering the camera.
Oh. Okay.
And it'll be orange the whole time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't want that to happen. All right.
All right, what do I get?
You actually are going to be double-fisted.
I'm going to do the Ghostbusters.
All right.
Double-fisted? How'd you know?
So, this is a spirit box. You're going to be using 2 different types of spirit boxes. So, we can do this one of 2 ways. I can either give you an earbud for this one so that only you can hear it. Do you know what a spirit box is, by the way? No? Okay, perfect. Let me explain. This is going to sweep through FM radio stations at a quick rate. On your TV shows, it's the white noise, and then Zach Bagans or one of the hosts tells you what he thinks he heard. We're going to be doing it in real time. Only the difference with mine is that they're slowed down. So the little bit of radio chatter will come through. So the DJs, the song lyrics, the commercials, all that stuff, you're going to get little one-word answers from here time to time. Like that's it's the easiest way to explain it. Just little things. If you can make out what it actually says, awesome. If not, this is going to record the entire session for us. Even when I say, go ahead and turn it down on mute, because that way I can tell you the history of this location. It even records at a nice even level, even on mute. So this thing is wonderful. So the question is, do you want this, because the speaker here is actually decent enough for 3 people to actually listen in on it, or do you want a set of earbuds?
Yeah, let's do the
the opener?
Speaker,
Okay.
Yeah.
So that way, you guys can actually, all three of us can get... I just started doing the earbud thing when I had my groups of 10, just because, I use a lot of spirit boxes. So if a lot of people are running around with kind of staticky noises, they override each other, and then a lot of people have a hard time hearing it. With earbuds in, there's no question that, what they're hearing is what they're hearing. So you have one button to worry about on this guy. It's a wheel right up here at the top. It's going to turn up...
volume?
Yep. You can obviously see that it's spinning through the
channels.
Yeah.
So that's 91 FM?
Yeah, it's all FM. So I leave it on FM because the reason why I do it slowed down is because you aren't used to listening to just white noise. Plus all the history, one of you's going to fall asleep. Like, it's a guarantee.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history that I'm going to be talking about tonight.
No, we like history.
We love it. We're on a history tour.
But again, I just wanted to leave this on for a split second to maybe give you...
So you might hear somebody talking there?
So what happens with this is it's a 50-50 that I can actually tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history I'm talking about, or even something going on with one of us. So again, a lot of times you guys bring people with you. You just don't know it. So it happens all the time. So,
oh my God, I have a huge family.
watch the words huge family come out.
Line up.
I know, right? So this one's going to go to you. You control the volume.
Okay. So should I have it turned up for right now?
No, you can leave it down for right now.
Okay. You'll tell me.
Oh, yeah. Always.
Okay, where's the...
Yeah, get used to where that volume button is at. It's kind of really in there. Don't hit the button. It's right to the right of the button. There you go.
Okay.
It's like a little transistor radio.
Yep, that's all it is. It's exactly what it is.
Oh.
It's just designed for ghost hunting. It has a flashlight on it and all kinds of things.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's actually like...
Can you ever actually see them? Because we hear about people that see ghosts. Like, we've been on a couple ghost tours. And
Depends.
They're usually looking out the window.
Of course, There's a couple of ways that can actually happen. Somebody's sensitive to that? Absolutely. Am I sensitive to it? So-so. There's a whole backstory to that. We can get into that.
I was sensitive to it as a child.
And most people are, believe it or not, because we're innocent and we don't know any different. It's kind of like you're not have any racism in you either until you're raised with it. Kind of the same principle.
thank God we weren't.
Yeah.
we really weren't. Yeah.
Even with, I was raised Orthodox, so we weren't allowed to talk about this stuff at all. So you can imagine, like, what my family thinks of, like, what I do for a living.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they're curious. Don't get me wrong. They're very
We
curious.
can't talk about it.
Yeah. They're always like, what's going on with the tours? I'm like, oh, the history's still there. Hasn't changed. I leave it alone.
Yeah.
All right, so this one, you're going to be using this one as well. The nice thing about this is you won't really have to hold much. So this one, what it does is it has over 9,000 terms in here. So this is also considered a spirit box. I'll call this a digital spirit box. But it's going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen, as you can see, and save them all to a list. Now, this is my last tour. They had about 79 terms. We'll say 78 because I think 2 terms have popped up since we've been here. I'm going to clear them out and start us off fresh, so that way your word list is fresh, just from tonight. What I like about this is it actually gives me timestamps from every single word. This is an app. This is 80% bullshit, right? I'm just going to put it out there. So 80% of what comes up out of this isn't going to mean a damn thing. It's the other 20%. I'm going to tell you why it's relevant, and then I'm going to give you the link of where I got my information. So that way you can actually verify the evidence for yourself. And these are not going to be yes or no questions that we're working with tonight, and I'll kind of get into that at our first location.
Okay.
So this is the other piece. When I say where we at with the list, you're going to hit the scroll if you can when you're, obviously double-fisted, and then you'll be able to scroll through the list when we actually have terms here, and the only other button you need is this top right one.
Okay.
That's it.
Where's the save button?
It's saving.
It saves
until
automatically.
It.
So when I get to the car, the first thing I do is I start splicing all of those videos together because it'll be done by the time I get home, and I email myself that list so that way we don't lose anything that we have.
So where are these words getting picked up from?
The app is generating words, what it claims to be from hearing from the radio. I call BS because there's over 9,112 terms in there. It's just going to spit out a word from time to time. The game we're playing, is it from the app? Is it from a ghost? That's where we're at with this.
Yeah.
So if it's something so specific to the location that we can't deny it, then obviously we have something going on.
Oh, okay.
Last but not least, I'm going to be using something just to kind of keep tally on things. So this is probably what he was using at your other tour that you guys saw?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to use that. That's almost like a baby toy.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to go way more accurate. So this also measures EMF the exact same way, only it measures it from the antenna that's built into the back of the device. It is so much more accurate, plus that device only goes to 25 milligauss. That's the unit of measure we use to kind of measure electromagnetic fields. I've seen this one spike out at 198. On the tour at 149, just so you know. 198 was a private investigation I was doing down in Florida. 149 here on the tours. So I'll show you that. I'll let you know when that location is. If it has anything above 2.5, I'm going to get excited because that's the second green dot on the toy that I just put away.
Okay.
Do I use the K2?
I think he mentioned that was not like the best. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
I do use it, don't get me wrong. But I also give it, if I have a little guy on the tour, or if I got somebody that's like, I really don't want to be here kind of mentality, that's the device they get.
Like, here you go.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's still a debunking tool, so that way I can see, like, are we close to wires? Can I expect something coming out of this? So the other thing that this guy does is it'll measure temperature, but the probe here is broken. I'm waiting on the new one, so we're not going to use that, obviously. The reason why I use this is if you find a cold spot on there, I can find out where it's coming from. This measures it from ambient temperature based on the probe itself. So, but the last but not least is it actually has a motion sensor in it. So if something gets close to this antenna, it will go off. Just so you know, the closer it gets, the higher it's going to go. So we'll use that as kind of a call and answer later on. I don't leave it on all the time because, again, it can be distracting when, you know, we're trying to go through the history.
Do the blue spots on your shirt count?
No.
Okay.
Unless it's actually moving around.
Well, just because you're talking.
Yeah. Yeah, and the blue spot should be, like, right here.
They're like your
Yeah.
ribs or something.
Something. Well, it's a shirt. It looks,
Yeah.
you know, it's like wrinkles in your shirt kind of.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
this part of my shirt right here is not touching my chest. That's why this is colder, and the rest of it is going to be warmer
And
based on my skin
wrinkles
temperature.
she's like on your arm and your
like
shoulder.
they look like
Yeah,
little
armpit.
lines like that. So that's probably a little wrinkled. So the part that's red is sitting on
Yeah, I
your
had a
skin.
hoodie on earlier. I took it off.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's probably why it's
Very
wrinkled.
Interesting.
Way to point out that I didn't iron my shirt today.
It's a
That's okay,
t-shirt.
I didn't
Why
iron
would
my
you iron
pants,
a
so, you know.
t-shirt?
You'd be surprised. Like my wife, when we first got together, I was ironing everything. She's like, "Why are you ironing everything?" I'm like, "That's just what I do." And she's just like, "You don't need to iron t-shirts." I'm like, "I was raised to iron t-shirts." So
No, you
anyway,
Yeah, but you know,
Throw them in the dryer a couple minutes.
good
It takes all the
grooming is
wrinkles
very
out.
important.
It is. Even for
so-
ghost
she
hunters.
was also married to a mechanic, where she had to pretty much dress the guy.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, that's who she was married to prior. So when she hooked up with the writer, the guy who needs a library and an office, it was just very different for her. So,
Yeah.
very, very different lifestyle for her. All right.
All right, so I just hold this one like this. Do I turn this volume up, or you'll tell me when?
I'll tell you when.
That just says more.
I know it was saying student a minute ago.
So let's talk about why we're here. Of course, Big John's is haunted. That's why we start here.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw somebody looking out that window a little while ago.
Well, people do live up there.
Oh. Okay. Don't get me all
I'm teasing
excited.
anyway.
So, Big John was actually a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. I'm not a sports guy. I had to memorize this crap so I can recite it on the tours. So, this was his bar back in the 40s and the 50s. This place actually just reopened as Big John's about 2 months ago. So,
okay.
this whole 1950s look that they have going on there, that they're trying to emanate what used to be here. So anyway, he used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, students, by the way, you did have students, if they were coming over and if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink, he has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty mad. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he gets up from the bar, he just starts beating the hell out of these guys. He's mad. So they're on the floor wrestling around. All of a sudden, a couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet lands in the wall behind him, which is in the front of the bar.
Oh my God.
John gets up after being shot, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, an ambulance. Now, nobody died in that story. John's the only one that got shot. He's also the only one that got up. So what's haunting the place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. I haven't been back since they did the renovations. So, again, normally I'm waiting for you guys and always forget, like, I gotta take an extra 15 minutes to go check for the bullet hole. But anyway, it's the only place that I've ever gotten EMF inside that bar is in the front, obviously where the bullet hole used to be. You can normally debunk things like that by wiring in the walls and things like that, but this was pretty high, like really high. So people that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, headache. I bring this up on purpose here. It's kind of a heated warning. If you guys feel any of those type of symptoms at all, I need to know immediately. I won't say that people have not passed out from this tour. It's happened. Actually, just a few weeks ago, I had a young man pass out, and I'll tell you that story when we get to that location, because it's definitely an interesting story based on who he was. So, let's not talk about our own health, because that's literally the scariest thing I'll tell you all night long. Did you guys take any history tours so far yet
We
in
went,
Charleston?
Yeah, we did the two sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Two sisters. I don't think
Yeah.
I know what that tour is.
It was like 2 hours and 15. Well, she went around, we
Yeah.
walked, and all the different,
It was whatever.
who
Okay,
lived
fair
there,
enough.
what they did,
Fair enough.
that kind of stuff.
Did they talk about any kind of earthquake?
Yes.
Okay, so the big one for us in 1886, right? So this is where the first death occurred. The mantle you see in the middle of the building also goes around to the front. Apparently, a piece of that broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head from that earthquake, and it killed him. And they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street. And that came from the previous owner of this bar, where he used to see shadow figures after closing and coming out and not know what the hell was going on. I say all of that because I don't have any proof. That's why I say apparently and allegedly. It's just a great segue so nobody ever thinks about getting sick on the tour. So, you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Oh, yeah.
What do you got going on there? Hint. All right, let's go find some hints.
Okay.
Are you doing any other ghost tours?
We haven't. Do you have a suggestion or anything?
I do. I just didn't know if you already had. We're gonna go this way. I didn't know if you already had something scheduled.
No, we don't.
No.
So we don't have anything scheduled for tomorrow night or the night after. But so
Yeah.
if you have some suggestions, of course.
If you can get on Pleasing Terrors, he's usually sold out just about every night.
Pleasing terrors.
Pleasing Terrors. His name
Okay.
is Mike Brown. Another private guy like me, but he's what I call a master storyteller. Like
Storytelling is like there is a master to that.
Yes.
Yes.
he's creepy voice, slow voice. Obviously, I talk fast because I'm from the north. He's from here. He knows all the stories. His podcast is done just exactly the way he does his tours, slow and creepy. So I actually just did his tour last week just for the sake of November's coming, which means I change my tour every year. I always add a location, delete one kind of mentality. So I always kind of do a little bit of research, and I called him up and I said, hey, do you mind if me and the wife take your tour? Do you got room for us on a Monday night? Telling that I take off. He's like, yeah, come on. But he was pointing out all kinds of places for me. He's really the only friend I have in this industry, to be honest with you. I take a lot of business. All right, so let's talk about where we are. Some of the places we're going to go to aren't always like, hey, this building used to be this. We're going to be in some empty lots. That's just kind of how ghost hunting works. You need a vast area to be able to spread 10 other people around instead of we're all huddled around together and waiting for something to happen. So this is what I call the Big Red Barn Lot. So this is the focus that we have. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. So it's a very interesting building, only because this is where we held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's literally the only piece of history I have on this building. This is normally, you're getting cold spots inside that window. Do you see that? Can you read the temperature that's coming out of those?
40, wait, it's blinking, 43 it looks like.
And what's your center say?
The center says 80. It's not 80. Oh, well, hot
The
spice.
metal would be 80, because it held the
okay.
heat from the daytime.
Oh, right, okay.
But there's no reason why that one...
Window.
Oh, wait a minute. It's the metal over there.
Oh,
It's
okay.
aluminum. Aluminum goes the opposite way. Okay, that makes sense. So 80 to 40. Got it. That's what... Just kind of... just got to know what's going on. But this is normally where I spread... Like, tell all the people when I have 10... We're going to spread around so you guys can get used to your devices. There's not a whole lot of history here, but I do make some points about the spirit boxes because you're using 2 of them out of my 5 tonight. Spirit boxes is somebody here kind of mentality, because if somebody answers no on the red one, then obviously somebody's here, right? So we're just going to stay away from yes and no questions all night long. What I normally say, and we'll walk slowly together through the rest of this lot after I explain the rest of this, just so you can get used to listening to it. If somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Right, obviously you know the answer to that question. It's red. But let's say the song lyrics or DJs don't have the word red that they can grab and tell us that it's red.
That
Blood.
keeps jumping into that window.
Yeah, it's going to be the coldest spot. So, but blood, fire truck, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. So again, that would be an acceptable answer. However, still close to Big John's, his teammates like to come through here all the time. So if you get the number 40 on the red one and the word art on the other one, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. I normally require 2 different types of clues to verify what's actually happening, not to mention a possible reading from the millimeter. So with that, I'm not going to like one thing, like, look at this. It's going to be, okay, this is something cool because we have 2 things so far, let's keep going with it. Let's see how far we can push it.
Okay.
But talking about the history of Charleston, lots of Charleses, Elizas, Georges.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to know who the hell we're talking to.
Yeah.
So we always look for that secondary clue, and I'll always point out when we need a secondary clue based on the location. So we're going to keep that to a minimum on the audio for the red one, but we're going to walk through the rest of this lot. I just want to keep it to a minimum for the three of us, only because the horses do not like white noise as a bunch of skateboarders
And they're
go
still
by.
in there.
Oh yeah, and
Okay.
there's no glass in those panes over there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they can hear us. They will kick the wall if we're too loud.
Okay.
Yeah, so I tell people if you want...
Shut up, we're sleeping.
Pretty much. If you want a jump scare, go ahead, crank it up. Just don't piss off those people, because there are other people that I'm kind of friends with.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right, let's turn this guy up a little bit and see what we can get
Turn
out
this
of it.
up?
So you want me to keep this pointed at the barn?
Not necessarily.
Oh, so we can just like...
You can film anywhere.
All right.
You're the camera person for the night. Perfect. So let's just kind of walk slow through the rest of the slot so we can get to the next stop. And I'll let you know if I hear anything pop up out of it. Or figure something. See why it requires a lot of patience? Sitting around listening and listening and listening. So the only thing I heard out of that whole thing was figure, and then it like broke up after that. And let's go over to the next stop. You can keep that running for a minute while we grab the break. This spot, out there on a chilly weekday, is that we're gonna have like the whole city for us. So it's gonna feel like this all night long. We might run into some other tours, but that's not how it goes. Oh, black.
Uh-oh. Oh, I got another cold spot.
2.9. So let's turn that one down and let's take a look at your word list real quick before I give you all the history here, because this is definitely a...
So then the words list is right here.
You got it.
So wait, it starts down here.
Uh-huh.
Student agreement become more. Gasoline hint. Ethics ambassador. Score problem cried.
Okay, nothing that was real significant to that specific location. However, what time did the ambassador come up? Does that say 9:27?
9:22.
22, so
Right.
that was about 5 minutes ago. Yeah. So, yeah, it was about 5 minutes ago. The word ambassador is actually legit to this location, so we'll see if something else comes up with the name of the ambassador that was here. So,
Go back.
yeah, just hit the go back, and we'll kind of keep an eye on it as I kind of go through this history.
I got a blue window again.
Yep. And again, what we're looking for, and I'm going to show you evidence, like after I kind of go through the history, so that way you have a better idea of like what, when I say things that are moving around, what they should actually look like. Things that are standing still like that, not a big deal. I expect that stuff.
Oh, so it's just a cold spot.
Right. I mean, the glass is always going to be colder,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
it does not see through glass. It only looks at it as a solid object, because that's exactly what it is, a solid object. This does not see in 3D either. I don't know if you noticed, but there's little white lines around certain things that kind of help you see in 3D. It sees 2D temperatures only.
Right.
So-
yeah.
That's the reason why it reacts the way that it does. Watching enough of these videos, you learn a lot about thermodynamics, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
It's a science
Oh, yeah.
project.
Yeah.
All right, so what is this place? It's another beautiful side of Charleston, of course. It's an empty parking lot. This is the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. So their mansion actually sat in the front of this lot, and Eliza's garden was lined up with that left tree behind the church over there. It's actually a restaurant now. It actually came all the way across to where we're standing, right over here by the entrance. And then the servant and slave quarters for the home are back there in the back parking spaces, all the way to back the next set of parking spaces where that van is parked. So again, pretty big plot of land for this time period. We're talking 1740s to mid 1800s. I just got a 5.1, by the way, so I'll have to write those down. But anyway, what happened here, there's a lot, actually. So, first off, I'm not going to be giving us questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did with the Red Barn, right? These are going to be answers that we're going to be listening for. And again, it's the whole point of trying to prove that the paranormal is actually here. So that's the whole point, so that way you guys don't have subliminal messages.
Okay.
So, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses, in case you lost track. So the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Pretty big deal for us. However, you're on vacation. I don't want to talk about politics either. I just have to point it out, or else somebody else will. You got something else already? Fan. Okay. I thought it said FM for a minute. I'm like, really? That's weird. I've been using that app for like 6 years. I think I've seen everything, but every once in a while it surprises me with something. So, but Eliza, we're going to talk about her just because she's obviously the more prominent spirit that shows up here. She got married to Charles at a young age. I'm not going to tell you how old she was, but Charles was over double her age. So it's not one of those sickening, gross ages either, if you're thinking that way. However, the reason why she got married to him is because her father over in England thought he was dying. He wanted to see all of his kids one last time. She didn't want to go. She didn't think he was dying yet. So she got married to Charles, and it wasn't out of an arranged marriage or any kind of thing like that, because this is the 1740s.
Yeah.
She actually married him out of love. There's no such thing as citizenship and green cards and all that mess. So when she married him out of love, Dad gets better. He starts sending over apologetic gifts from England. So one of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. You guys have been here for at least a few hours that I know of. You've seen the word indigo a few times.
Oh, yeah. We were just at a plantation.
Did they talk about indigo there?
Yeah.
Perfect. I don't have to explain what it is. So normally with the kids, I really got to dive into, like, we use it for blue jeans now, you know, kind of mentality, because it's the only way they know how to connect to it. But anyway, she experimented with it here. This is where it all started. So, I mean, we already had indigo crops here from the slaves, but she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated in our cold temperatures. Obviously, the indigo is not going to thrive in this. It's just not. So once she had it figured out, it took her about a year, she moved it to a plantation in Mount Pleasant, which is just north of here. It's called Snee Farm. So if you want to learn more about the husband, you can go up there, and it's actually his historical markers are up there. But anyway, she calls her dad up and says, hey, we're going to make a ton of money because our rice plantations here in Charleston are starting to go downhill, but this indigo can really, you know, step in and fill in. So I need some international contacts. He sends her some contacts. We now have an international businesswoman in colonial times. Absolutely unheard of, right? So I'm just
real
touching.
Trendsetter, huh?
I know.
Yeah,
And she's done a ton of things for this country. I'm just giving you the basics. So a lot of weird things we can ask Eliza while we're here. She likes to talk about, and that's what makes this whole piece interesting. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back.
Really?
Yes. Both.
Eliza was a common name, right?
Was.
Yeah, we saw that in the plantations, right?
It was, but they both didn't want to be confused with the other one, so they both went by their maiden name. They were actually friends while the first Eliza was married to Charles.
And what happened to the first Eliza?
She died
Okay.
a year to 2 years before he married the second Eliza.
Okay.
So their maiden names both start with the letter L, ironically. So I usually ask, Eliza, can you tell us what your maiden name is? Obviously, I don't have to explain what a maiden name is to you guys, too. This is going to be great. I don't have to do a whole lot of explaining tonight. This is cool. When I get to teenagers, they have no idea. They start asking middle
You
name.
didn't think we were teenagers? Really?
Yeah, are you saying we're not?
I mean, I'm so surprised.
Really?
People usually think we are.
You're
I'm
an ageist.
Okay. You want to take a guess at how old I am? Go ahead.
You're older than you look. We know that.
Yeah.
Because everybody young
all
is
right,
older than they
42.
are.
I'm bringing
I'm
that
thinking
out
he's
there.
39.
Bingo.
42.
Oh my
On
God.
the
See,
dot.
she's clairvoyant.
Apparently. We'll see if Eliza can pick up on that.
Clairvoyant. No, I'm kidding.
Wait, I'll point the camera at myself.
Psychics aren't ghosts. Most of my friends are psychics or mediums.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the company I keep. But anyway, so where was I? You can ask about the
Second
marriage.
L. The L.
Second
L's.
L.
You can ask
Correct.
about
Main
the
name.
L's, right? So, and then the marriage ages, right? And then obviously what happened to the mansion. I don't see a mansion, do you?
Nope.
It's not here. Then you can ask when that happened, if we get an answer to what happened to it. So obviously it's the tragedy of some type. Eliza's death, you can ask anything you want to. Hey Eliza, how did you die? How old were you when you died? Where are you buried? This ought to be interesting tonight, by the way.
So we can say, you want us to say that?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's why you're here. But and you're already picking up on why this is probably going to be interesting, I think. So, considering who I'm working with tonight. So, find out where she's buried and then what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So I know I don't have to explain pallbearer.
Yeah, Pray Washington.
Eliza,
You're on
where
it.
were you buried?
And that's where we can turn this guy up too.
Okay.
And I've already gotten a 5-point. Oh, you want to see what this one would look like? I started doing
Yes.
this 2 nights ago. I started bringing my tablet so I can start showing you guys.
This little volume button is
Yeah,
perfect.
volume.
All right, that.
We are going to stay away from people's cars, Dean, just so you know. Like, people get a little weird about cameras in their cars. They have no
Oh,
idea
yeah.
what we're doing down here.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
just be mindful if somebody's going to their car. Governor. So, it's black and white.
I don't know which way I'm going. There we go. That's not bad.
No, I'm trying to not make it black and white. I don't know why it's black and white. Irresistible. I like governor. That's definitely relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Her painting in color is so much cooler. There we go. Perfect. There she is.
Eliza, you were beautiful.
Obviously, blue dress, indigo.
Indigo.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
I think she looks witchy.
Oh, she's English.
Oh,
Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry, Eliza.
They always look like that.
They're always very thin and gaunt people. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, they're very smug.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's not insult the woman. We're going to try to talk to her,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I know. All of a sudden, the word "bitch" comes up.
I know. Screw you, pal.
Bite me? Oh, they didn't know that thing.
So I always keep a little notebook in my side pocket too, so I can write down like things we heard in real time, so that way we're not missing out. Because I add all that stuff into your analysis. That way,
Okay.
on top of things that I heard. But diplomatic. Well, you're getting all kinds of government terms. So the nephew, just so you know, did turn into a South Carolinian governor. I want to say he was number 6 or 7. That's why I'm like, ooh, governor's good.
What's your last name? Charles Pinckney?
Pinckney.
Pinckney.
The other one was diplomatic.
Mm-hmm.
So we might not have Eliza here tonight. We might actually have somebody else.
Maybe the nephew that was the governor.
Possible. See what names pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Kia country.
How do I turn it up? Did I just turn it down?
Yep, you just turned it down.
That volume button is hard to find.
Yeah, I actually, the other one I have is a lot easier, but it's been acting up with the recordings.
There it
so
is.
Fancy and tonight.
Tonight?
It says Larry.
there's no Larry here.
Okay.
It's not a last name, Lawrence?
No. This is the spot where I've gotten this up to 149.
Really?
Yeah, this location in general. Oh, there's 6.0. That's the highest one so far. And they've never done an archaeological dig here, so there's no wiring near us, there's no anything.
What's that say? Heavenly?
Whenever.
Whenever. Okay.
What was your question?
I asked when she died.
Should we walk this a
We
little
can, you
bit?
can walk wherever you want to go.
Settled.
Settle.
Settle.
I had 28 before that.
28? That was her birthday. December 28th, 1722. It's funny, 28 showed up here the other night, and then we got the word to sign.
This thing's going crazy.
Eliza, you know how all these boxes work. Tell us whatever you want to tell us. And you know I'm always looking for the color blue on the box that I'm holding. And do that because red is obviously the extreme, and then it's green. Blue and purple are in the center, so that kind of shows me like, hey, they're paying attention. Like all this little green motion. There's a way for me to reset that so to make sure it's not from me making it do that.
Yeah.
So you'll hear that little clicking often of me making sure it's not me. They're November 7th. No, what's the date today?
Landmark.
This is a landmark. What's the date today? 26th?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. It's on, I mean, let me tell you why today is important.
While.
So, this is the nephew. You see the birthday?
26.
26, so maybe
Wow.
he's here.
This is also the same one as the governor.
Yeah.
He looks British too.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Oh, yeah, it's probably from my phone.
Okay.
Oh.
Getting a lot of Jesus Christ on there. That's the second one I've heard since we got
Or
here.
my Lord or something.
Mm-hmm. What's funny is I get more relevant terms out of the evangelists. You know, we're in the South. We have a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
Out
A lot
of
of Baptists.
what they are saying that are relevant to the location than anything else.
Really?
I mean, you gotta remember, I listen to this thing every morning. There's another Charles. Charles, can you tell us what you did, what you're known for? And happy birthday.
That's good.
Curriculum.
See if anything else comes up around education. There's a piece with Eliza that she was involved with. And I don't like to bring it up until I have at least two pieces. Oh, it just went up to 8. Charles, can you tell us today was your birthday? Make this box in my hand go to blue or purple. Maybe tell us what happened to the mansion. We're standing right where it happened. 5.4. Can you tell us what happened here? You see how I can write a book on each location? Like, I've done so much research on the damn Pinckneys. I could literally write a book out of all the evidence that I've caught and all the things I had to learn about them along the way. It just jogged my memory that today was the 26th. And I was like, oh, shit, it's his birthday.
Birthday, yeah.
And in 3 days from now, it'll be his death day. He died October 29th. 7. 24.2 and then down to 0, like that. Again, there's nothing here to make this thing go off.
Yeah.
What do you have on there now? An election one? Come on, Charles. Give us some clue that it's your birthday today.
Show us, Charles.
You can give us the word birthday through this red box or on the blue box, or you can make this box in my hand go to blue or purple. You got to get so close to it though.
Come closer, Charles.
Just want to say happy birthday to you. Enthusiastic about all this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty stoked that it's his birthday. Last year I forgot on which day it was.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't fully in tune yet and I missed out. Taco. Pretty sure they weren't eating tacos.
Don't think so.
I do want to write down these readings and the fact that you were 28 before I lose those numbers.
And 21.
Yeah, 21 as well.
Oh, it just turned blue. For a second. Just as you were pulling your book out.
For my watch.
Oh.
That'd be for my watch. Crazy technology.
Mm-hmm. It's turning blue on top. Oh, the metal on the spiral, maybe?
No. It's got to be creating electric current of some way. 21, 35.
Even.
Female.
Writing in the dark has become a skill. Lots of numbers on that. Wow, this thing's all over the map right now. Now down to 0. It's literally all over the place. Carol, come on. We're going to wrap this part up. You got to let us know you're here by telling us it's your birthday. Can you tell us what month it is? It'll be easy. We're in October. Did that say $10?
It's, yeah.
What month are we in?
10.
Close, Charles. Try harder.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
It
a
just
stretch.
said
He said,
close.
it just said, what's wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to say the month.
Looks like they're still at 8.8.
That's a 0.
Oh, it's a 0.
It's staying underneath 1.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, this thing's been anywhere from 3.3 all the way to 24.2.
So, like, oh.
There's the blue.
Hi, Charles. Happy birthday.
If you go to blue again. educate. Alright, let me get you guys some answers. And I can't believe I actually forgot to tell you this. I usually tell my folks that ask about the kids as well, but only go so far. Like maybe get how many kids that she had and get the names and kind of leave it alone. Only because there's a tragedy among those kids. That's where I said the word cremate might be interesting. So the reason why I say that, let's go into the kids first, just because the word is on the screen. I want to forget it. Yeah, you want to push it towards the button. Other way. There you go. Perfect. You'll get used to it.
So just give me a headache. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if you had earbuds in. So, kids, there's 4 of them. We had Charles, obviously. You know, we weren't talking to...
And this is from the second Eliza.
Yes. Then there was Thomas. He actually fought in a Revolutionary War battle just south of here called the Battle of Camden. He led it. He actually, his left leg got shattered by a musket ball and left him on a cane the rest of his days. And he was like a POW down there as well. Like, he was captured. But with him, it's interesting because he did become an ambassador for the French, I want to say, for the United States. So he was an ambassador from the U.S. to the French. So, again, interesting piece there, but I didn't hear the name Thomas pop up at all. Then there was Baby George. Baby George didn't make it. I usually tell my folks, don't poke the bear with this one. Eliza doesn't want to talk about it. You know, and all activity will stop, including any EMF readings. I've seen it, I don't know how many times. So, normally, as soon as I see EMFs, like, starting to go dead, that's usually when I know somebody poked the bear a little too far. But what happened with Baby George, we don't know. So there's interesting theories behind it based on some of the things that some of my guests have told me. First off, the death certificate has the same month and year as the year that he was born. So birth and death columns are identical. So we don't know if the baby was days or weeks old. The fact that he has a name is a whole different scenario by itself because he wouldn't have been christened at that point. The other piece of that is that where they would actually mummify an infant like that so that way they can actually bury the child with the mother once she's gone. So let's kind of get into what happened to Eliza. Eliza was 70 years old when she died.
Wow.
So that's a long time during that time frame. She died from breast cancer that we know of. I'm looking at as initials. I always look at short words as initials.
Okay.
What we do like with that later on. But we didn't know what breast cancer was in 1793, so we're all going based off of her medical records. So all the research will point to breast cancer, hands down. That was in Philadelphia.
Well, John Adams' daughter had breast cancer. So that's the late 1700s. Interesting.
Very interesting.
She was diagnosed with breast cancer. They actually removed her one breast, and then the other one got the breast cancer. Got the breast cancer as well. So she died from it.
Just wondering how they would have known to have done that, like to remove it.
I think it was like experimental. I mean, no
Would have had to
anesthesia or
have been.
anything. It was in the Adams series on the HBO.
Yeah,
it was a
Adams.
great series
Interesting.
if you're into history.
Obviously.
But I mean, I had read that biography. I forget who the biographer is. He did a lot of the founding fathers. I find that fascinating. And yeah, so I just re-watched that recently and had forgot about that. I think it was like some experimental thing, but I was like, wow, I didn't
Did they
realize.
say where that happened?
Where?
Yeah.
Like what area of the country? Up in, he was from like Boston-ish area. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Eliza died in Philadelphia. She was going up there for treatments for whatever they thought she had.
Okay.
It's also where she died.
Well, and we know John Adams had a big tie to Philadelphia too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, how many political, anybody
Well,
had
and
a
this,
tie to
I think
Yeah.
this, I'm pretty sure this was this after he was president. I think it was after he was president.
Okay.
But whatever. So you think that Eliza had
Now.
Eliza had breast
Breast
cancer.
cancer. And again, 9 out of 10 websites will tell you it was breast cancer.
And what do they base that on? Because she was going for treatments.
Well, they have medical records. They had access to them in some way, shape, or form. I mean, we're talking like Britannica.org, NPR, like those kind of websites. Like these aren't Wikipedia bullshit sites I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So again, 9 out of 10 will tell you it was breast cancer. Philadelphia, that's also where she's buried. So she's buried up near y'all. So
Y'all.
yeah.
Oh, y'all.
And it is, I want to say, because isn't Ben Franklin in one of your cemeteries in Philly?
Yeah, I'm sure he's buried in
I want to say she's
yeah.
like 10 plats away from
Huh.
Ben Franklin.
Huh.
was Washington. You were right. That took her to her grave. So there's your second George, right? Because we had George the son. So we always need to know which person we're talking to. So and that was at his own request.
Yeah.
That he wanted to take her to her grave based on what she did for this country. Now, Washington did spend a couple of weeks here in Charleston. You remember, there's not many colonies he's visiting. He knows his governors and political leaders pretty well.
Yeah.
And even when he was here, based on what I could gather from where he went around the city, and the fact that there was always either Eliza's husband or the nephew there, they were hosting Washington's meals while he was going around the city. So obviously prominent family. He knew the Pinckneys pretty well, so it was definitely an honor for him to be able to take Eliza to her grave, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
And it was something actually I learned from evidence. It wasn't something... You can actually stop your video for a little while. We're going to
Where
take
do
a
you
little break.
stop it?
That's the red square that you
Oh.
see. Just tap it till it turns to a circle.
Oh. No. Yep. Come
It
on.
moves on you. There was a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents, and she has an attorney that's handling that money for her. The attorney tells her to get rid of the doctor, that he's just after her cash. So, to prove that he's not, he moves to Charleston. The coachman that brings him into town sets him up to be robbed and killed. Not a very good start to his stay in Charleston, but somebody walking by named Ralph Isaacs. We're paranormally investigating, correct? So, you're good. Ralph has the same initials as to where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. So when we see RI, it's kind of like we need that second clue to find out who it belongs to. Keep in mind, people don't like being filmed either, so you might want to lower your camera. We can just kind of hold it gradually. Perfect, you're on it. I just want to see if any cold spots come up out of it. So, Ralph says, I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there. What's that?
Yes, pointing in a weird direction.
Yeah, you want to go down the alley. Right down there. You're perfect right there. Yep. Crazy spot. So let's see if any blue things move out of that movement. Other than those people. Because they won't be blue anyway. So he takes him to 59 Church Street. He has friends that live there, and the doctor can rent a room from his friends. So the two become friends. That's the doctor and the Ralph. So they go see plays together, but the doctor makes more money than he does. Because his practice takes off. Amanda's moving down soon. By the way, he becomes known as the whistling doctor. Every haunted city has a whistler. Ours is a doctor. So they go see plays, can't sit next to each other. They talk about these plays on the way home. One night, they're talking about the new actress that's in town. The doctor loves the new actress. Ralph does not. He starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. So the two obviously start arguing even further. It gets ugly. They go their separate ways. Ralph, being from here, has friends at the newspaper. He goes and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city what he thinks of the doctor. Obviously, the doctor sees it, and he rebuttals with, let's go to Duller's Alley, we're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 20 paces, they turn, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend, he just needed that bravery and courage that he showed up to the fight, and he was willing to forgive. Ralph has his one shot, puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So he didn't die. His friends picked him up and they carried him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment and his leg going gangrene, and he probably died from bleeding out. You know, he's probably trying to cure himself by bleeding himself. So again, very interesting story, but they say as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Now, keep in mind, anybody walking down Cumberland or Queen Street is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it myself every single night on my way back to my garage. It's just a ritual. Yeah, it's just a ritual at this point. But again, I have some, when I used to take my groups down there, that I can't debunk. So if you guys are going to walk down there, take pictures, whatever, one of you put your voice recorder on, listen to it later and see what you get out of the background. It's not going to be a very prominent, it's not going to be that clear. It's going to be faint. I've even had the word whistles and had whistles come through on the radio while telling the story around the corner. Now, the other interesting thing about this alley is about, I don't know, a quarter of the way up on the right-hand side, and I'm going to point it out when we go around the corner, there's a gateway in the original wall. The gate is because in the event there was a loser from a duel, it was a shortcut to get to St. Philip's Cemetery, where they would go drop the body and then go celebrate the winner, instead of coming all the way down here and around. Well, even back then, it probably would have been going towards Queen Street and around, which would have been a very long way to go. So again, this didn't always come all the way down this far. So we're actually going to jaywalk and cut across the street, and that way we can go up that way.
Okay.
You can cut off your video now if you want. Look at that, it worked great.
Okay.
So the book piece, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd actually wrote poetry while he was here about his life in Charleston and his love for Amanda. His sister Elizabeth later published all that poetry after his death and called it the literary remains of Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd.
Wow.
So the word poetry will normally come up here, at least when we're relatively close by, but the word book, I'll take it. And especially since we had Shot and Bang show up over there.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably our most prominent piece of it. Let's turn up that red spirit box a little bit. Not too loud because these are apartments. Just loud enough for us. Away from it.
A lot of blue on the roof.
Oh, it's going to be colder. Because those are like I want to say like Castor style shingles.
Oh, okay.
So the other interesting thing about Nicholas over here is on the other side of the powder magazine is what they call the Nicholas Trot House. Nicholas Trot was the first Chief Justice of the United States. The funny thing about that is it's actually another misnomer of Charleston, just kind of like what they call the market, the slave market. The slaves weren't actually sold there. So with Nicholas Trot, he only stayed there temporarily while the house where Dock Street Theater is now, in between Planters Hotel, he was going to be living on that plat of land and it was being prepared for him because he's the Chief Justice. This little tiny place that actually goes all the way back to the cemetery. It's real skinny, real skinny, all the way back to the cemetery. So he only stayed here temporarily, but because Dock Street Theater has so much history of its own, the Historical Society called this the Nicholas Trot House instead, because they stayed there. It's on the other side of the powder magazine. And somebody lives there now. Somebody bought it. So it's part of, like, it's got a historical marker and all of that stuff. But the funny thing is if you go to Dock Street Theater and you tour it, like, in the back, like, they take you through the courtyard, there's an elevator shaft back there. That's actually where Nicholas Trot's privy was. We were basically taking a ride through his shitter. So, very interesting.
No, we were only up in the seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't.
Gorgeous in there, though.
Oh, the
That's-
wood.
it's a-
The wood is beautiful.
So a lot of that wood actually it was recovered from a fire from Radcliffeboro, kind of where we started our tour. Like, we were in Ansonboro neighborhood, but like 2 more blocks up, we'd be in Radcliffe. And there was a fire there, but this is Charleston. We recycle everything. So a lot of that, like your doors downstairs, leading into the main floor, and the high chair rail, which is 10 feet up on the balcony seats, like, that's all from that fire. So when I'm walking through there with EMF meters, trying to find out what's going on, I can't get close to that Radcliffeboro stuff to find out. Like, and the doors were roped off; they wouldn't let me near it. Oh, I haven't pulled this guy out in a while. Normally, this is a dead zone for here, just so you know. Like, I get excited about a 2. If that, this is not the Pinckney Mansion site, for sure.
Hmm. 5 and 6.
Oh, there's a 4.7.
For me, I am beyond the borders.
Beyond the borders. So that's like super exciting. So ancient is actually what, 2,000 years old, and is at the age that is considered ancient. So when I see stuff like that, I don't get too excited. 18 and older are there. What's funny is years ago they used to do basically what we're doing with older technology just at this location for like 2 hours looking for Anne Bonny. Obviously didn't work out for him because
Yeah.
the technology probably wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
But I've actually been looking for a singular location for one night a week to be able to set up stations with all of my laser grids and different spirit boxes. I have different types of cameras, you know, that kind of thing. So you would be able to get to use everything because I would rotate you every 20 minutes
Yeah.
in different
Yeah.
spots. So that way you would actually, I mean, for literally like $100, you get to try it all
Yeah.
instead of having
Yeah.
one job.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's what we're looking for right now. Slice. If you get belly, stomach, or anything like that, the rumor, remember, back in Ireland, she stabbed somebody.
Yeah.
In the stomach.
That's
yeah.
true.
Restaurant.
Something's going. There's like a really dark blue spots in the bushes.
Oh, that's because there's going to be variation of air in between it.
Oh.
So, again, it doesn't see the layers. It only sees temperature. So it's literally looking at like the air and shadow.
Yeah. Okay.
So your shadows are always going to be colder.
yeah.
Again, not trying to make this not exciting for you, but
That's okay.
I'm not
I'm
trying
hoping
to.
I find something.
Well, there's boat. I mean,
Big deal. Just for
big deal. What was the name of the ship? And still not high enough for me to say anything. And tell us the name of Calico Jack's ship that you were aboard.
Well, here's a family-friendly idea.
It's a lot that just spit out of one station.
Yeah, here's the thing, a friendly idea.
Aurora Corporation, plus
3304.
27.
47. Will this be clearer tomorrow?
Oh yeah.
So it gets rid of the shh.
No. It's just a lot easier to hear with headphones on.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I do the earbuds in real time as well.
Okay.
When I give you the recording, I mean, the only thing I ask, don't listen to it in the car. Like, it's ridiculous. You'll be focused on that and you'll lose track of the road. Wait until you're back at the hotel or back home again. And you'll be able to download it. And I'm going to give you 15 to 20 markers of things I heard,
Okay.
whether they're relevant or not. It's going to help train your ear on what I'm listening for.
Okay.
So, again, I tune out all the common commercials. I usually turn out the word Charleston in any way, shape, or form. Anything that might be a common term. It's 3.8. Did it again. See it? There's got to be something with me switching hands. Nope. It did 3.8 and then 3.9 on the second turn. I was just trying to keep my watch away from it, because again, my watch is going to make it go up
Yeah.
when it's on. Just a shed. Come on, Ann, give us the name of Calico Jack's ship.
I swear I just heard no.
Really?
Can you tell us what your father's name was? Did that just say Will?
No, yeah, something will, something.
The father's name was William.
Really?
Really? William Cormack.
Wow.
All right, give us your mother's name. And what was your mother's name? A lot coming through. I might miss some of these things we catch in real time. That's why I write them down. But with the audio, obviously I usually notate it, so you'll be able to hear it.
It's kind of weird.
European.
Well, the interesting thing is that her friend Mary was English, as was Calico Jack. He was also considered an English pirate.
Well, and the Irish are European too. Her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, her father. I mean, she's. I mean, oh, I didn't show you what this woman looks like. Keep forgetting I got that damn tablet with me.
Yeah, don't forget that. You got great stuff in that tablet.
Literally, there's only like 7 pictures.
Vector. That's weird.
That's Anne.
She's fierce.
This was the only one I can find of her that didn't have a bare breast. Normally, she would bare a breast to her the person she killed, so that way they knew they were killed by a woman.
Oh.
About time.
By the time I started showing pictures, that was Calico Jack. Again, very prominent jacket,
Yeah.
very detailed.
Yep.
Sober.
They were not sober.
What's weird is I am.
Terrible storm.
Lifestyle.
Democracy shows up next. I'll be convinced because their lifestyle was a democracy. They actually voted for their own captains. And can you tell us where you had your first baby? I've also had disembodied voices come through before too on the tours.
What do you mean?
That's not radio chatter. Like, goes over several different radio stations. That's nothing but static like that. Alone. She would have felt alone because Jack dropped her off.
Yep.
But where were you?
Eventually.
Yeah. Give it one more term on there. See if she'll give us something. We'll wrap this party up. Where did you guys park at? Did you guys Uber?
Right in front of.
Right in front of the bar.
Oh.
We're like a
Big
half a
John.
block, yeah, from where you were.
Choking because they can't stop.
Chalking.
I've seen it before.
Like, what is chalking?
Yeah, they think that they put in choking. You gotta remember, this app is meant to try to scare people. So I've seen choking
So by
before.
the illiterates
Yeah.
program.
There's every once in a while I'll see a term that's misspelled. I'm like, come on. Like, I almost want to write to the owner and say, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. I'm using this thing professionally.
Like chalking.
Yeah. Come on, Ann.
One more term, man.
It's not like we're comfortable.
Not like we're comfortable. Current. Could also be the water current.
You have all of your favorite pets left.
Come on, Anne, we've asked a lot of questions. Give us something.
Do people that we know who are in spirits, do they ever speak through this?
There's been nights where I've given tours and somebody just had somebody pass away. Didn't matter what story I told. Everything was coming through from them. Especially veterans. Like, so if somebody was coming, over here from the Middle East and they just got home and they lost somebody over there, it was almost hands down. That's happened to me twice now.
Wow.
Wow.
Like very specific things.
That ends.
All right, I'm not seeing anything else come up. Let's go over to this wall. I can put my bag down. So I'm going to stop your audio. That'll help me determine like how much AV stuff you guys are going to have to go through. The voice recorder I love this thing. It actually runs from my phone, but it stays on my bag. And it's a 3-way, so it comes a microphone up for all the stories, and then a microphone each way for any kind of EVPs. Love that thing.